20 years ago, I was walking to the Greyhound station with no money, no plan, and nowhere to sleep. That night, a stranger pulled up right beside me on the side of the road, looked at me and said, "Hey, it doesn't look like you belong here." Gave me a warm meal, safe place to stay. That one act of kindness changed my life forever. That's the reason we're here today. So welcome to the Goodness Game podcast. So welcome everybody to the first episode of the Goodness Game podcast. So 20 years ago, I was walking to the Greyhound station with no money, no plan, and nowhere to sleep. That night, a stranger pulled up right beside me on the side of the road, looked at me and said, "Hey, it doesn't look like you belong here." Gave me a warm meal, safe place to stay. That one act of kindness changed my life forever. That's the reason we're here today. I'm a father. I got 3 sons. At the time of recording this, they're 13, 10, and 9, happily married. I own a business. I'm a real estate investor, and I've always loved the idea of paying it forward. So what we're going to do here, this podcast is called the Goodness Game podcast. And what we're trying to do, the whole purpose of this podcast is to inspire kindness and create a positive impact. So here's what you can expect in future episodes. First, I'll be giving you some ideas from the book I wrote called The Goodness Game on how to make a difference in the world. Plus, we'll bring guests on and ask them what kind of things have they seen in the world that have made a big difference in their lives. So let's jump in. So here's where the Goodness Game came from, right? About 25 years ago, I was pissed at my parents. I ran away and I went to the Greyhound station. Just on a whim, I went down, said, "Hey, give me the next bus to leave." It ended up going to Orlando. So I hopped on there, had about $200 in my pocket, a red duffel bag, some boxers and different clothes, and I hopped on the bus. So I don't know if you've ridden a Greyhound bus before. There's some characters you meet on there, and it's not like a pleasant ride. It's super long, and you have to go from city to city to city. It's not a direct connection. So what happened was I'm going down to Orlando, and about 3/4 of the way stretch, probably even closer to the end, I start talking to this couple. They're like, "Hey, where are you going?" I'm like, "Where are you going when we get there?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I'm just kind of winging it here. I'm going to try to find a hotel." And keep in mind, this is before Uber. This is before cell phones. So it's a little bit different, right? So I get down there, and when we pull in, they're like, "Hey, you know what? Why don't you come to our place? We'll call around, try to see if we can get you a hotel." So I'm like, "Okay, cool." I go to their place. I remember standing at their kitchen table. I was looking right at the wall. There was a yellow, like one of those rotary phones, and we were looking through the yellow pages. So we called around, did find a hotel. It was actually a motel, Days Inn, cost about $25 a night. They dropped me off, and I was off. So now I'm sitting there thinking, okay, what am I going to do? I got a couple $100 in my pocket. I have no job, no food source, no nothing, right? So I went to a local grocery store. It was called a Publix down in Orlando, and I tried to get a job. First thing is they told me you need an address and you need a phone number. Like, keep in mind, I didn't have cell phones. What am I going to do? Give the hotel main number with my room extension? So I got the idea. I'm going to talk to the manager. So I talked to the manager. We were over in the produce section, and I tried selling him on giving me a job. And I probably could have. The only problem that I found was you don't get paid for a couple weeks. So I'm like, okay, crap. Like, what am I going to do? I'm paying a motel room. I don't have a couple weeks to wait. So I left there. I started looking around, and I found a place. They have places that were called job labor pools. What that is you go there, you work for the day, and you get paid the same day. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to do this. It's manual labor, hard work, but I got paid, and I got paid like $25. So my room's $25. I get paid $25. I'm good. Only problem is I don't have any money for food. So that worked for a little bit, and the money kept dwindling. One day, I just didn't have enough money to pay the room. Like, okay, crap, what am I going to do? So I started walking. My idea was, hey, I saw people in a Greyhound station just hanging out before. I'm going to the Greyhound station. I'm going to crash there for the night and save some money. So I'm walking there, pack up my stuff. I'm walking down the road with a duffel bag on my shoulder, and I'm walking through like a medium, like a kind of suspect area. And some lady pulls up on the side of the road, and I look to my left, and she's in a black Geo Tracker, if you remember those. And she says, "Hey, it doesn't look like you belong here. Where are you going?" So I explained to her, I'm like, "Hey, I'm going to the Greyhound station. I'm planning on sleeping there." And so what she did, she was actually with her son. She had an adult son in the car. So turns out, I don't remember the whole conversation, but they took me back to their house. It was about 50 minutes outside of Orlando, gave me a meal, let me crash there. And that one act made a huge difference in my life. So what happened was, which you can read about this all in the book too, The Goodness Game. You can just go to goodnessgame.com to get it. I have it on there for free if you can't afford it, or you can just buy it on Amazon too. But so anyways, we go to their house. I remember their house too. It was a ranch. So in Pittsburgh, we call like the one levels ranch. So I think some places call them tumblers, things like that. But anyways, it was a small house, and it was interesting. It had a white fence around it, and they had a horse. And you walked in the house, right in front, you had the kitchen table, like the dining room. To the left was the kitchen. Straight ahead past the dining room table was the living room. And then if you made a right, there was a hallway with a couple bedrooms. My room, the one they gave me, was the first door on the right. It had a mattress in there. And I'll still remember this. They had a cat that was like 3 feet tall. I don't know what kind of cat it was, but that was the cat's room. That's where they let me crash. So I go there. They gave me spaghetti dinner for the first night. And what they told me they were going to help me with is her husband worked in the hotel industry. So they're going to see if I can help me get a job in the hotel industry. So I said, okay. I went and did interviews, ended up getting a job. And at the time, they put me up into one of the hotels, like Comfort Inn or something, like one of the suite hotels. Suite meaning they had like a kitchen in a hotel room. So they put me up in there until I got my first paycheck. And the deal was I was going to pay them back $300. Turns out, long story short, I ended up coming back to Pittsburgh and never paid them back. Looking back at it, like even like a year or two go by, I was working, I was young, getting into trouble, causing problems, things like that. Didn't even think about it. And it kept weighing on my head though. It's like, okay, I got to pay her back. And as time went, the problem is we lost her contact information. I didn't have it. My mom ended up connecting with her she ended up connecting with my mother whenever she picked me up also. So my mother had her contact and we just lost it. Contact info is gone. So what this did was it planted a seed in my head. That's like, okay, I want to do something to make a difference. I want to pay this lady back. I can't. I saw the movie Pay It Forward, showing how you can pay it forward and inspire kindness to other people. Like, you know what? I have no way of paying her back. I'm going to pay it forward. So that's initially where the goodness game came from. 10 years later, I wanted to kind of prove, I'm curious to see, okay, and you can check this out on the website. There's an old video from like 2009. I did a short trip, went to Chicago. Or actually, I went on to Craigslist, picked a random city, which was Chicago, went there, helped some people out, told them, hey, I just want to pay it forward. I don't want anything in return. Did it anonymously. I came back, documented it. The video made national press. So the reason I bring that up is with the goodness game, I wanted to prove the model. Like, can you actually do something? Everybody says, hey, small acts make a big difference. Well, do they? Like, I wanted to prove it and see, okay, can a small thing actually create that trickle effect, right? So that's why we're here today. I've proved the model. I'm going to pull other people on this podcast to speak on that as well. This is going to be for parents. Like parents, if you're trying to show your kids small things make a difference, this is going to give you a lot of ideas, a lot of activities that you can do. Same with teachers. If you're a business owner, this is a great thing to involve in your business to help your team build culture, come together, and make a difference. Even charity supporters, anybody who believes in making a difference, right? So let's break this down. What exactly is the goodness game? So I wrote a book that describes the goodness game. The book is not the game. The book is kind of like a blueprint with the rules and instructions, right? So let me explain the concept of a goodness game. The goodness game is a game you can play where you inspire kindness and do good things, and you put positive energy out in the world, right? Basically, you help other people make a difference using what you're built for. Like everyone's built different, which I'll get to in a minute. So the game part is though, I've found, and science proves that when you help other people, you actually feel better as well. So we're turning it into a game. We can track KPIs, we can track things, and we make it super, super easy. So the main theme of the book is helping others is going to be super simple. The way we do it, you're going to feel good. You're going to create lasting impact. And it's going to give you energy. We're gamifying it. We're tracking progress. We're coming up with helper styles. Okay, so let me break it. Let me jump into the rules. There are 5 rules, right? Number 1, give without remembering. So one of the rules, it's kind of like Fight Club, right? You don't talk about Fight Club. Give without remembering. We're going to help people. We're not going to talk about it. We're not going to brag about it. There's 3 ways we can help people. Number 1 is we help them. No one knows. Not even the person we helped. Number 2 is we help them. We know, and they know. That's fine also. Number 3, the way we're not going to do is we know, the person we help knows, and we go bragging about it. The only exception to the number 3 that we're excluding is an example of, say your neighbor needs some help. Say they're in a hospital and their family needs help, right? We can go and let other people know we're helping them. We're trying to round people up to say, hey, you know what? Maybe we're going to round up and give them food for 2 weeks. Who wants to take a day? and we're going to try to involve people, that's involving people in the game, that's acceptable. Otherwise, we're not talking about this and we're not bragging about it. Number two, not everybody's your assignment. What I found is a lot of people, especially people with a giver's heart, like you really like helping people, have a problem saying no. You have a problem, sometimes you get taken advantage of, or you just have a problem saying no to things that don't really fit you. So we break down, okay, not everybody's your assignment. Like, you don't have to help everybody. So, for example, if someone came to me with a drug problem or say a mental problem, something like that, I'm not built or competent enough to even help them. I could connect them with a person that is their assignment, like they're built for that, but that's not my thing, right? Number three, while we're talking about that, we're going to go into a test that you can take to identify your helping style. You can do this for free also on the website, goodnessgame.com. But what we're going to do is we're breaking in and finding out, okay, what is our helping style? Like, what am I built for? And I have them broken down into 5 categories. So I have them broken down into 5 categories. We have the financial helper, empathetic helper, sweat helper, connecting helper, and thinking helper. So go onto the website. Most people are more than one helper type. Go on and see what you are. For example, sweat helper, that might involve if somebody needs their brakes changed. That, to me, would drain my energy. Like, I'm not really built for that one. But if you need a connecting helper, like you need me to connect or help you, or financial helper, like those are my helping styles. Go find out what yours are. Number 4, create your goodness budget. We're going to talk about making a budget. Same thing that not everybody's your assignment. We need a budget also. If you're a financial helper, you don't want to give away all your money and go broke. You have to budget. Maybe you pull up 1%, 2%, 5%, 10% of your money, put it in a goodness fund. So when those things pop up and people need help, you have the money there. Same. What if you're a sweat helper? You're not paying with money. You're paying with time. It's like, okay, you have to make sure you don't burn out. So it's like, are you going to give a couple hours once a week? Are you able to help somebody 30 minutes per day? And where are you getting that time from? Can you pull it from Netflix? What are you doing? You want to look ahead of time to make sure that you think through how you're going to help people and make sure you're not hurting yourself. Right? So we're going to talk about going into the budget. Number 5, keeping score. 2 ways to keep score. There's a scorecard, or a lot of people want to do a journal. So we have that also. So that's all on the website. You guys can check that out, right? So here's what you can expect in future episodes. I'm going to be pulling guests on. I'm going to be pulling different types of guests. Some people work with, like, for example, I know a couple that works with the homeless here in Pittsburgh. They go down every Sunday, organize people, feed the homeless, and we're going to bring them on and talk about different topics. We're going to ask them if they want to come on, talk about different topics, what they see, what kind of things they see in the real world, right? We're going to find out, like, ask people about these kindness and how it actually works in the real world. Like, what do they see? Another thing I want to hear is, I want to hear from everybody listening here also. I think everybody has a story. And I also think everybody has a story, not necessarily of you helping other people. I'm more interested in the stories of other people that have helped you, that made a huge difference in your life, that the person that helped you doesn't even know that made a difference, or they might not know, right? For example, the lady in Florida, she has no clue what impact she's made in my life. I'm sure that happens in a lot of people's lives. So that's what I want to try to uncover here, right? So basically, this is the first episode, just giving you guys an introduction. Subscribe to the podcast. Share it with a friend. If you have friends that you think would be interested in it, share it with them. You can follow us on social media. Just look up the Goodness Game on all the channels. The website, as I said, is goodnessgame.com. And if you have your own stories or you want to be on a podcast, go to goodnessgame.com, click the contact link, and shoot me a message. Tell me a little bit of your story, and maybe we'll chat and have you on here as a guest. Hey, well, thanks for listening. We'll see you on the next episode.